Yeah.
Howdy.
How goes it?
Oh, it's going okay. We had a girls were out of their morning program on Monday for Veterans Day, and we also had what is considered in Oklahoma a snowpocalypse, which is to say about 3/4 of an inch of snow.
I'm from San Diego, so I don't know if that's a lot or a little. Sounds like it all
Well,
sounds like a lot.
I mean, we're pretty like Texas-like in terms of our snowfall, so that is not very much snow for people that deal with snow, but it's enough to make Oklahomans go, "Oh my goodness, we better stock up on 3 weeks worth of survival supplies."
Hey, Rob.
Let's see here. I know we're not expecting Dan. We'll just see about Gretchen, I guess. Okay, and I pinged Gretchen. She said she is going to be on, so we'll just give her a minute.
Okay.
Okay, well, I mean, that's all of us then. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Why don't we start with Gretchen and analyst updates?
Nothing pertinent to this meeting for this week.
Okay, well, then for me, I am pretty happy with my local Minikube setup that lets me run and build images off of all three of our scanner apps and have them talk to each other. The thing, and we kind of talked about this last week, basically what I'm working on is trying to test run imports locally. And because I realized as we've had some of these issues that Rob has had to stop work to troubleshoot, that I just really didn't have an adequate understanding of how these interlocking pieces, well, not interlocking, but how the different pieces talk to each other to actually get imports done and present users with data. So it seemed like the best way to really get that would be to run some processes myself and look at it, play with it. So yeah, initially I was using S3 and that was working kind of weird. So now I'm trying the local storage and I'm running into this issue that Rob had said was a known thing, which I didn't initially understand that they were going to be local file URIs, which makes sense now that I've looked at it. But that's seems like a good thing to try to address, because other people that wanted to develop locally would run into it if they were not just running all containers or all the stuff on the same host. So that's what I'm currently playing with. As I was just saying before we kind of all got in here, it's been a little bit of a late start in this week for me because the kids were home because of the holiday this week. So that's all I have. Rob?
I didn't get anything done this week, so it's exactly the same as last week.
Okay. Okay, so then the thing I just thought we could just spend just a couple minutes talking about was the AWS CountUp setup for archiving. I kind of posed this question in chat, and Rob had a good response. Basically, based on our discussion last week in the cross-team meeting, it sounded like there wasn't anything that we needed to be able to access in each other's infrastructure when we have walk up and running. So my thought was, we could just set up a separate AWS account and just the two groups would not see into each other's stuff. Rob pointed out that might just be picking a fight unnecessarily, because there's we're talking about for 6 people altogether. So we could just not, and we could just mint some new AWS accounts, which seems reasonable. Really, my only question is about the only reason why this even occurred to me is because in other projects I've worked on, I've been a person that's come in sort of midway with a project where other people have come in and out of it, and it's all lumped in together, and at some point it does matter, and then it's sort of now we have this thing that we kind of depend on, and it's in the same pot as this other stuff. And now we're really talking about kind of a migration to split them back out. So kind of what I have is more of a edgy organizational question of are these working teams within Edgy enough of the same organization for that not to really be a concern ever? Or are the working groups separate enough that we might really care down the road?
Well, for my part, I feel like I definitely get the concern you're raising, and I think we can handle that by being much more careful than people often are about naming things and organizing them and documenting them. I think we're actually pretty good in general about that anyway, compared to a lot of organizations I've worked with. And so I think we can resolve a lot of the confusion, there's a giant kludge of things problem that way, and by also being assiduous about putting different things in different projects and different VMs, in naming them appropriately and tagging them appropriately, so it makes sense. From the actual people access OPSEC working group perspective, I mean, I guess this is just sort of a repeat of what I said on Slack, which is basically, we don't have that many people, but B, I feel like we've been in this slow phase this year of, rather than each working group sort of in its own silo doing things, having a lot of people in those various working groups go, I bet there's people who have something to contribute over there, we should talk more, and actually going the opposite tack and getting to the point in time where we have room to look more at collaboration. And the more we put walls between things, the harder it is to come back and do that. And technical walls in AWS don't cause a problem for us talking to each other, but they do cause a problem for us we have two services that need to talk more, maybe we just need to conjoin them or whatever. and then it's like much harder to do that.
That makes a lot. Thank you. That sort of like additional perspective around what you've already communicated is like, that makes total sense to me. So yeah, I'll just do that. I'll just make them an account, and we'll just not make it complicated. Thank you.
You mean like an IM account or?
Yeah, like an I
Okay.
account. Yeah,
Cool.
yes. User account, not numbered account.
Yeah. Slightly overloaded term.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, that's really helpful. I thought this would be a quick item. I just kind of wanted a little bit more perspective there. So very good. I'll get that done, today, later, and communicate that. I guess the only other question is, what is the best way to share credentials across team? Are they also going to be in LastPass, where I can share via that avenue, or do I want to use Keybase? Well, I might just ping them and ask them. That's not really a question for this group. Okay.
I feel like for general like user account credentials, that might be more than just ultra technical folks. LastPass is easier for people, but in terms of actually keeping things safe and secure, I have a lot more confidence in Keybase than I do LastPass personally. So if it's like security keys for service accounts and things that you want to be more locked down and whatnot, my tendency would be to lean towards Keybase for that, and maybe LastPass for like distributing user access credentials.
Yeah, so I think probably then, since these are user access credentials, but they will just happen to have, essentially a root access level. I'll touch base and we'll do it over Keybase.
Yeah, the absurd part of that is then, then I'm basically, the user accounts tend to have more permissions. So in a way, I'm like advocating using the thing I have less security confidence in.
Yeah, because exactly the service accounts, you tend to have very limited scope in what they can do.
Yeah,
that's true.
You're right. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'll not get stuck on process though. We will share accounts so we can do things, because that is its own risk, is not getting stuff done. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is we've just run through the agenda right there. Does anybody? That feels great. So often we go way over. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up?
I'll just talk about the sysadmin stuff real fast. So Jason did a first pass looking at. I don't know how, like, were you like reading through each resume like detailed and stuff? Okay, just
yeah. I looked through them all, but then some that I kind of was like, this person seems kind of questionable. I even put the somewhat questionable ones into the yes pile. But because the whole point of the committee is to have multiple perspectives, but all the ones that were just total garbage, I kicked out.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do a second pass and then save whichever ones look the best, and that one will have like everybody on the committee now do a real in-depth review and say yes or no. We have this process where like 2 people review each application. That's what we did before. So I'll do that. So I'll start saving applications and then creating the spreadsheet. And then after that, I'll share that with the committee, and we'll have, whoever has time go through, start reviewing those applications. Aparna asked Delaney, and she said that we can hire out of the US. There's just like a fee for whatever country they're from. So, we'll figure that out more. If we like somebody outside the country, and we'll figure out the fees, and maybe that weighs in on the decision or not. But it is okay to hire outside the US.
I'll go ahead and respond to the people that just sent a question instead of application.
Okay.
Then.
And that's about it. Oh, and tomorrow we have an all edgy meeting. That's like kind of this reflective gratitude meeting. So if people want to join tomorrow, you're welcome to join. And that's it.
Hey, Well, it was good to see you guys. We'll just call it a meeting. Happy 15 minutes back.
All right.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Yeah.
Bye.